In the world of circular economy, closed-loop methods are often hailed as the gold standard for recycling options. But what if open-loop recycling, usually seen as less desirable, has untapped potential? To start this discussion, a brief contextual overview is required. The butterfly model illustrates the main cycles in a circular economy system, creating a continuous flow of materials. In a technical cycle, one of the ways in which we circulate materials for extended life cycles is through recycling. But recycling is not just one thing. Within recycling, we can make a distinction between open-loop and closed-loop recycling. Open-loop recycling refers to recycling where a material is recycled into a more or less identical product to the original product. Open-loop recycling is quite the opposite, and refers to recycling where a material from one category of product is then recycled into another category of product. Generally speaking, closed-loop recycling is seen as more desirable than open-loop recycling. This is because it does not introduce new materials within a production chain and is set to keep materials at their highest quality and value. But does this make open-loop recycling a completely undesirable option? Idealistically, the answer may be yes. Studies in various fields, including the fields of construction and demolition waste, nickel, and primary metals recycling, have concluded a preference for closed-loop recycling over open-loop recycling. However, when we look at the practical advantages that open-loop recycling currently gives us compared to a completely linear system, the answer may become a bit more nuanced. On a case-by-case basis, we may find that issues in one sector may actually be potentially solved in another sector through open-loop approaches. To explore the statement, we will look at the open-loop recycling process of PET bottle-to-fiber recycling in the fashion industry. Using the material circularity indicator, a recent LCA report compared the desirability of bottle-to-bottle recycling to bottle-to-fiber recycling, and found that the closed-loop bottle-to-bottle recycling was more desirable than open-loop bottle-to-fiber recycling, whilst also showing that there is merit in open-loop bottle-to-fiber recycling. Like many other analyses on closed-loop versus open-loop recycling, this LCA report fails to mention an important aspect. Although in an ideal world, we would practice complete closed-loop recycling to facilitate the plastic bottle industry, this is simply not happening. PET production is already at an overproduction, and only 2% of PET bottles are recycled in closed-loop recycling practices. This results in high amounts of end-of-life material, which ends up in our waste system and then ultimately in our ecosystem. Famously, we've already polluted our maritime ecosystem with plastic waste. This plastic soup should ideally be recycled, and where closed-loop recycling falls short, open-loop recycling could serve the purpose of providing additional recycling options. One such company that does this is PrimaLoft. PrimaLoft uses plastic bottles recovered from waste cycles to be chemically recycled into fibers that are used for insulation material, particularly as a replacement for down in clothing. PrimaLoft publishes a sustainability report every year and claims to have diverted about 700 million water bottles from landfills and marine environments since 2015. Additionally, PrimaLoft's products challenge the notion that plastic bottle-to-fiber recycling decreases the quality and value of the material in an economic sense, as their products are used by high-value brands who use the insulation material in fashion items which are sold at much higher prices than what PET bottles would generally be valued at. This high pricing of PrimaLoft products can be accredited to a couple of factors. First, PrimaLoft is used as a sustainable and recyclable alternative to down, a material that is traditionally sold for high prices. Secondly, PrimaLoft engages in smart marketing techniques by highlighting the use of their material in products through hang tags and labels which are attached to the items. These create visibility and awareness for the inclusion of the material, and often include some information on the benefits of using PrimaLoft as a sustainable and high-performance material in garments. In conclusion, open-loop recycling practices, such as plastic bottles to insulation material, should be studied on a case-by-case basis to determine the desirability of the recycling options. Of course, this does not mean that open-loop recycling is more desirable than closed-loop recycling. Rather, it instead means that the desirability should not be focused on ideal situations where completely circular recycling is assumed, and should rather focus on the real-life situations of the extent to which recycling as a whole is currently being done and how it can potentially be expanded. In the case of PET to fiber, we see that whilst ideally being less desirable than closed-loop recycling, open-loop recycling provides pragmatic solutions to real-life problems that closed-loop recycling is currently failing to address.